Hey friends, welcome back. Micah here with Vacation Rental University, and I have Ricardo with Kleenerly today, and we've been doing several lessons, actually several hours worth of lessons about turnover management, housekeeping, those sort of things. So if you haven't watched those yet, we're going to go through 8 common cleaning mistakes here, and if you're not a member of Vacation Rental University, you should consider joining, where you'll get access to all of this content and more. It's quite amazing what you've put together for us, so thank you very much. So without further ado, Ricardo, let's hop into the 8 most common cleaning mistakes that obviously as professionals we need to avoid.
The most common cleaning mistakes that we see after 21,000 turnover cleanings that we completed successfully, we see a lot of surfaces that are being treated in the wrong way.
Okay.
So whether it's using the wrong products, too much products, leaving the surfaces too wet, or just the wrong wiping technique.
Yeah.
So that's basically already the first 3 or 4 most common cleaning mistakes that we see. It's very important to use the right amount of products, not too much products, and also to use the right wiping technique. Also, that you not just go over it back and forth and just spreading all the grime and grease and dirt and dust from one end to the other end of a surface. So it's really about the right technique and using the right products as well.
Cool. Awesome. And so let's talk about products, because that's another common mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really about harsh chemicals also. So a mistake is using harsh chemicals. For example, you should never use bleach on a wooden nightstand, for example, right? Or on any surface. You don't want to damage the material, right? So that's definitely something that we saw, a harsh cleaning solution that is just used on every single surface. Yikes. So we don't want to damage any material, and also we don't want to leave that film of that cleaning solution on that surface for too long. We have to make sure that we're actually going over the surface again with another damp and clean microfiber cloth, just to make sure that we get any cleaning solution off of that surface, and then go right over it again with a dry microfiber cloth as well. Awesome.
And cloths too, so talk a little bit about that as a common mistake, using the wrong cloths or not using separate ones for different areas, right? We've covered a ton.
Absolutely, and that's when we that's what we actually saw also coming into turnovers that we ran into, and seeing cleaners using the same wet and dirty and often smelly rag, going from place to place and wiping over different surfaces, first cleaning a toilet with a rag, which is already a mistake, and then taking that same rag and then go over a nightstand, for example, or baseboards, and then going back into the kitchen and going over the kitchen counter. You never want to do that. So that's a big mistake as well. This is cross-contamination, and you don't want to take germs from the bathroom into your kitchen. And it's even more terrible when they take that rag to the next property, so don't let that be you. Absolutely, and this is exactly why we at Kleenerly are always recommending using 3 or 4 different colors to separate by room, really. So for example, in our case, we use the orange microfiber cloth for general areas and the bedroom. We use a yellow microfiber cloth for the kitchen. Think sunny side up, think eggs, yellow for kitchen. Then we have the green microfiber cloth for one of the dirtiest rooms, the bathrooms. And then the 4th color that we're using is actually blue, and this is the inspectors. Microfiber cloth, in case there's anything to touch up. Then the inspectors come in, they use the blue microfiber cloth and cover any surfaces that need a little bit more drying up or clean up. Perfect. And the next one, I learned this firsthand when I was in the Marine Corps, but it's nice to hear that even civilians do such things, is drying and polishing the stainless steel and the chrome and those sort of things. Leaving that water or that chemical on there causes little pits, and over time you will not be able to polish it. So, there was a method to the madness of having all of us, Marines polishing those Navy ships and our rifles and chrome in the rooms. It works for vacation rentals too. If you polish your surface, it'll stay nice and clean for a long time and will prevent rust and other issues as you continue to use this property, which is important for your guests. They want it to feel like brand new every time. That's correct, and that's the same for us as well. That's one of our biggest pet peeves. That's what we always check when we do our own inspections. We go and check chromes, we check stainless steel, we check for watermarks.
Yeah.
If you don't properly dry off these surfaces, then it will leave a film behind or watermarks behind. And what actually happened to us is we have gotten complaints about those watermarks because guests check in and they think the whole surface or those chromes or stainless steel was not cleaned at all. In reality, we just forgot, or this is one of the common cleaning mistakes, we didn't dry off and make them really looking shiny.
Yeah, and that 1 or 2 more seconds will save you a complaint of this place is filthy, because they'll assume that's dirty and they will start looking for more stuff that you may have missed. And so don't open it up to further critique and further complaints. Just handle that problem, especially those surfaces with metal and that need to be polished and dried. So the next one that's a pet peeve I know of yours is cleaning the showers inappropriately or maybe glossing over those a little bit. So speak to that. Speak to the shower cleaning.
The shower, what we sometimes saw, which we almost screamed in shock, was we saw cleaners just taking the shower head and just rinsing over the walls of the showers and letting that sit there and dry off basically naturally and just calling it a day without using any products, basically just rinsing without touching the surface at all. I mean, there's watermarks, there can be mold, there can be mildew, there can be soap scum. So you do always want to make sure that you take a wet sponge. You can use a sponge, you can take a wet microfiber cloth, use product. That's very important because you do have to make sure it's really clean and sanitized in the shower as well. And you go over it with your hand and really cover all of the surfaces of the shower wall, but also the bottom, the bathtub as well. And you make sure you really clean and scrub it and not only rinse these surfaces.
And we cover the products and the tools and the methods to do this the most efficient way in the course, so be sure to join us there. The last 2 most commonly missed items are actually revolving around the same thing, which is the floors. And if you're not fully aware, the floors are by far the most important part of the cleaning job. Almost by far, it's the most surface area, it's the most presentation, so there's a lot going on with this, and getting the floors right requires a little bit of extra knowledge. So tell me what the common mistakes with mopping are that just drive you crazy.
It's just about the right planning and the right workflows. So you have to make sure that you're not skipping step 1 and skip right to step 2. You want to make sure that the workflow is the correct one. So you don't want to mop before you vacuum. You want to dust the top before you dust the bottom. This will just make sure that you go through a cleaning more smoothly also, and that just makes sure that the dust that you just cleaned is not falling back to that surface that you think you already cleaned. So it's a lot about that workflow as well.
Smart, and even don't mop the floors before you vacuum, even if you swept the tile or whatever and there's carpet that you're going to vacuum later. The vacuum is going to kick up dust, it's going to move stuff around, and inevitably your freshly mopped floors will need to be mopped again. So even though you're not vacuuming the tile, you're sweeping it, just do all of your vacuuming and dusting, as you mentioned, before you move on to mopping.
That's correct. And then also talking about mopping, it's another common cleaning mistake that we see is just using either too much product, harsh chemicals that can actually damage the floors, or just way too much water. And this is what we covered previously in another section that you should definitely watch that when we cover how important it is to really only dampen the mop and go through all of the surfaces and all of the floors with only like a damp mop and not completely wet. You don't want to soak floors, right? You don't want the people to slip. You don't want to damage the floors. Because if you do, and if you use too much water, that basically can just damage the floor, and it can make it sticky, and you don't want to do that. You want to avoid that. Yeah, for sure. So we cover the balance of chemicals that you should use while mopping, in addition to tools and several different methods to make your life a lot easier. Come join us at thevru.com. Learn these lessons, learn everything else, and master vacation rentals with us.